So for those on the opposite end that are trying to buy, do you have anything that you normally tell your clients to help give them a competitive edge, or any resources or anything to help them stand out when they're presenting an offer, or any tips you have for people that are considering buying, knowing what they're getting into with multiple offers?
So I think, okay, the first thing, and so starting with some assumptions, I would I always try not to assume. So obviously the sooner I try to connect with buyers, the better. So like a forum like you're having is fantastic because a lot of times a consumer's just not educated on the market. And it does evolve and change. So what I could tell you 3 months ago could be different than when we actually work together and you choose to purchase. So it's always evolving, always moving. And so I think just having someone who's got that pulse and you're connected with them to find out is number one.
Mhm.
Um, of course, doing your pre-work. I specifically try not to work because most of my business is referral. Everyone I'm working with, I make sure that they understand the market. I make sure that we talk about, I call it the chicken and the egg. So which comes first? Are we going to buy first? Are we going to sell first? And here's the pros and cons to both. Obviously, if you can sell or if you can buy without selling, that's the most advantageous place for you to be as the buyer, but not
Mhm.
for, that's not a position everyone can be in. So then we talk about other strategies that I can help them explore to really understand. And if truly is that they cannot purchase until they sell, then we have to be realistic with the budget, realistic with maybe some geographic areas. You know, if they're wanting to go into a super competitive price point in a super competitive part of the of the metroplex, it's going to be very challenging for them. Um, I always try to make sure they're pre-qualified and make sure there's no, like, you know, if you will, things that they just don't know about themselves. I recently had a client who we sold their home, and unbeknownst to them, they had a situation where they co-signed on something with a member of their family. Did not realize that that person had not paid
Oh
something on
no.
time, and so then when we were going to put in and do their loan, this kind of came up, and so we had to sort of take a pause, address that,
Yeah.
and then come back. But they didn't know that.
Right.
So there's just things sometimes, I mean, people don't always know. So I always try to make sure everyone has gotten in front of a lender and they know exactly what they can afford. And there's nothing that's going to surprise us. Because I think the most important thing, whether you're going out with your agent or you pop by an open house on a weekend, because we are having open houses here.
Mhm.
Um, I know some markets aren't having those across the country, but that you're ready to go because you can't, and that doesn't by any means that you're rushing anyone. It just means that people have to understand that there's a dynamicness to this environment. And if they truly think that they know that that's the one, then they probably need to be comfortable with saying, I'm comfortable with having my agent put in the offer.
Right.
There
It's not
isn't
like a year ago when you could say, I really like the home. We're going to go home and talk about it, and we'll touch base with you like
in a couple of
tomorrow.
days. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you leave the house and it's like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to go for it or do you not? Because there's like four other people behind you. And
Yes.
as you said, like
And
30
I
people on the
realize
street waiting for the
that's
open house.
really challenging for especially a first time home buyer
Hmm.
because they just don't know. They just don't know enough about what they may even want or not want. And then, of course, I think that that's where there perhaps might even be a little bit of, um, I would say, just concern or needing that push, that little extra confidence to help them say, this is the right thing. So I think that's where having someone that you've built a relationship with is really important because I know when I get to the point where I'm working, like I said, we were chatting before we started a little bit, I sometimes am talking to people a year before they even do anything, a year. So in that year, we're building a relationship. And I become someone that if I say, hey, this, you know, you said you wanted these things in a home and this price point is a very competitive. This is a great price for this type of neighborhood. If I'm giving them that nod and they think this is the home that they may like, that sometimes is that extra little nudge of confidence to say, you know what, we're going to go for it.
Right.
We're going to
Right.
try to put in this offer. And I think sometimes just having someone that they know is looking out for their best interest, you
Right.
know, is super, super important.
Right. And we touched about this before, and I wanted to kind of go back on it is how you mentioned talking to people a year out. And I think a good way to know if you're talking with a good agent, if you're that far out, which, you know, most people that use our platform, it's usually a year out, they're starting to think about it. Um, is that person following up with you, not to see if you're ready, but like, how are you doing? Here's some stuff I found out about this neighborhood, and is there anything I can help you with? And I'm talking like throughout that year,
Yep.
not talking to them and telling an agent, I'm going to think about buying probably in July, and then they just disappear. And then all of a sudden in like April and May, they'll start to email you again because now they know you might be looking to make a move. But it's that person that keeps in touch with you that whole year, or that 6 months, that's kind of helping you along the way, is a good key indicator of someone that's really here to help you and not just make a sale off of you. And I think that's important. And you don't really realize that until you go through the process.